Hey everyone, it's Sauce, and over the course of my backpacking career, I've had the distinct privilege of coming across some pretty disgusting water sources. So today I wanted to talk about my backpacking hacks for filtering nasty water like a pro. The last tip is one that took me a while to learn, but makes drinking nasty water much more enjoyable, so be sure to stick around to the end. If you're new to my channel, I make videos about backpacking trips and tips for taking your own, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any. I think I kind of perfected my filtering nasty water techniques on the CDT, but I know that the PCT, the AT, and really any long distance trail can have some pretty questionable sources, especially if you're going through the desert or cow country. Nothing like hiking through fresh cow poo. Obviously, your number one defense against foul water sources is just skipping them completely. And you can do this by checking water reports or perusing far out comments. But if it's inevitable, like the only water source in a 35-mile stretch is a cow pond featuring cow patty soup being stirred up by the cows themselves, you're down to your last half liter of water in the middle of a scorching hot New Mexico afternoon. Speaking from experience, I've got some tips that will hopefully help save your taste buds and your digestive tract. First is to pick a good collection spot and avoid further disturbing the nasty water if possible. One of the big problems with these, especially nasty water sources, is that it can be a lot of solid debris in the water that you're trying to collect. The worst ones tend to be these shallow, stagnant ponds, which make it really easy to stir up debris while you're actually collecting the water into your water bottle. You might have to step in it or collect again and again from the same spot, which ends up getting even more nasty, solid debris in your water bottle. To avoid this, try finding a rock or a log that's sticking out a little bit over the water where it's a little bit deeper, and you can also avoid stepping in the water itself. You also want to try and collect your water as gently as possible to avoid stirring anything up, so just kind of dip it in there gently, don't scoop or anything like that. Sometimes this even means moving around to different collection spots because it's inevitable that you're eventually going to stir up the water a little bit, so it might make sense to take a couple steps away and then collect again, especially if you have to refill multiple bottles. If it's a cow tank specifically with like a lot of green, gross algae on the top, you can often brush that aside or even just stick your bottle underneath that algae and avoid a lot of it completely. For some reason, this type of algae will just like grow on the top and there's not as much of it down below. This will help you avoid getting the greens in your water and eventually in your filter. Second tip is to pre-filter that dirty water. At a lot of these sources, some debris, no matter how carefully you collect, is eventually going to be inevitable. This is where having a partner and a bandana can come in handy. Partner is nice because if you want to pre-filter, you're gonna have to have 2 dirty water bottles. So to pre-filter, you want to take a bandana or a cloth and put it over the mouth of your dirty water bottle and slowly squeeze the water through the bandana into another dirty bottle. This will filter out a lot of the larger and filter clogging debris. You want to try moving the bandana around as you filter so you don't get a ton of debris buildup in one spot. I'm illustrating it here with coffee grounds so you can kind of see what I mean. If you use a bladder, you can do the same thing with the mouth of one bladder into another or the mouth of the bladder into a dirty bottle. A side note, if you're new to filtering water in the backcountry and you don't know what I'm talking about with this dirty bottle, is that you want to make sure you always have a designated dirty bottle and designated clean bottles to drink from. You should never drink anything out of your dirty bottle, as the bottle itself could be contaminated. This is the bottle that you use to collect from water sources, and then you filter out of that bottle into a clean bottle that you then drink from. Like I said, the bottle itself can be contaminated once you use it for dirty water. So even if you put clean water in it, you really don't want to be drinking from that bottle. I like to just leave my filter on my dirty bottle to help me tell them apart. If you use smart water bottles to filter from, it'll be really easy to tell eventually because you'll be squeezing that dirty one a lot. It gets a lot more crumpled up than the other ones. You can also mark it with like a marker, or you can tear off part of the wrapping that comes on the bottle. Just whatever you do, make sure you can tell those 2 bottles apart. Now it's finally time for the step that you're probably used to or would expect, and that's regular old filtering. Hopefully the steps you've already taken will help your filter from getting too clogged with the mystery debris that plagues the pond you're collecting from. Filter that dirty water into a clean bottle. Another quick filtering tip is you don't want to tighten your filter too tight onto your bottle. It can make the dirty water leak out because you're putting too much pressure on that seal. I also always try to pack an extra O-ring in case I lose mine or it starts to deteriorate a little bit. You want to always make sure that nothing is leaking from the dirty bottle around your filter, because it just takes 1 drop of dirty water to get certain waterborne illnesses. Remember, if you carry a Sawyer filter, that there's also an extra O-ring in the cap. The 4th step is to Aquatab your water after filtering. Shout out to Aquatabs for sponsoring this video. I've carried Aquatabs as part of my water filtration setup ever since my first thru hike in 2019, so I thought it would be a perfect fit for this video. I always carry Aquatabs and I always use them on water sources like this. Most backpacking filters are 0.1 microns or larger, so they don't filter out some of those smaller viruses that Aquatabs will kill. So I really like that extra peace of mind, especially when I'm drinking from a water source as foul as some of the ones that I have in specifically like New Mexico on the CDT. To use Aquatabs, you just add a tablet to your bottle. It can treat up to 1.8 liters or 2 quarts, so definitely enough for one like smart water bottle. You mix it well and then you wait 30 minutes. Aquatabs are also really nice to have if you're feeling a little bit too lazy to filter from like a really nice water source. You can just pop these in, shake them up, wait 30 minutes and drink with peace of mind and no squeezing. Shout out to my pal Stickers who actually turned me on to this method after long days in the Sierra in 2019 when we were just exhausted from slogging through snow all day. Aquatabs are also extremely light, like an entire pack of them is 0.16 ounces, so it's kind of a no-brainer to add them to your pack. Finally, the sources that look like they could be home to swamp monsters usually also don't taste great. I just filled up from this. Honestly filled pretty clear though, but I certainly don't miss this part of New Mexico. And filters unfortunately are not gonna change the taste of the water. I do find Aquatabs actually help mitigate this a little bit and get you a little closer to like a tap water taste, but sometimes the notes of cow poop are just too strong to overcome. So now that my water is actually safe to drink, I usually add some sort of flavor to make it more pleasant. I typically carry flavored electrolytes anyway, so this is a nice way to cover up the taste of nasty water. But you can also carry flavor packets like Kool-Aid or Crystal Light or whatever floats your boat if you know you're gonna be walking through an area with questionable water sources. Guys are kind enough to share while they go for a swim and pee in the trough, so luckily we don't have to fill up from the trough right now. And thanks for the water, friends. I hope this helps the next time you find yourself in the middle of the desert with nothing to drink but cow water. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and thank you for watching. Bye.